Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today it is June 5th of 2017 and it's almost 1 a.m. in the morning. I'm a little, I don't know, depressed or something today. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I haven't accomplished anything today. Little update on what's been going on. I took down my wide monitor. Let's see. Change cameras here. Hang on a second. I took down my wide monitor that I did have here, and I'm just using the one monitor. And I'm not sure. I may put it back up tomorrow, whatever. I'm thinking that eventually I'm going to get an identical monitor to this, 27-inch, I believe it is, and Asus, and have them side by side and do it that way. I'm not sure. That's sort of what I'm thinking right now. I saw my cardiologist last week, I think it was, and after he got the results back, they did an echocardiogram. And not sure I understand. I think YouTube, because I looked at YouTube, is really neat in that there's so much. It's not just watching cats and stuff like that. You can look up how to do things, all types of things. It's sort of a how to type site also, and of course everybody's page here on YouTube is different because it reflects what you're interested in, what you've looked at, what YouTube thinks that you might want to see for some reason. And anyway, I'm going to comment on a little bit of the news. Piss a few of you off, I guess. Oh well. The Kathy Griffin thing where she was holding up the mask of a head of President Trump with blood on it. I've never been a fan of Kathy. I've watched her, comedy stand-up act a few times. I think on on YouTube videos. I believe maybe it was Netflix, and never been a fan of her. Never been a fan of her type of humor. Partially because the type of act that she does is, she's telling you that she's not a top-notch star or whatever, but she hangs out with them and then she talks about them in her act. That's what her entire act seems to be about. She talks about people, celebrities, and makes fun of them or points out things about them or stuff. And 90% of the names that she mentions, I don't know who they are, and the ones that she does mention, I don't care, Now, no doubt about her holding up that. I'm not going to show it to you, but I'm sure you've seen it. Totally inappropriate, and she should suffer consequences for it. She, at first, I guess, made some type of lame statement, well, that's art. What was it? What did she say? That it was art or something? And then immediately she realized, man, that she had really messed up. And then she offered this apology, and it was a good apology, but it doesn't forgive the total stupidity of her doing that. And two, you just knew she was doing it she did that in order to, because that's the type of what her act is. Anything to promote herself, anything to be outrageous. Like when she does I flipped by a few times when they do the New Year's Day parade or whatever on CNN, and she is there with a co-host, and she says raunchy things. She acts, just everything is. She's sort of an Ann Coulter. Although Ann Coulter wouldn't do that. It would be too smart to do what Kathy did. But Ann Coulter is an author and a commentator, I guess, although I don't think even the right wing has lost interest in her, really, because they see what she does, that she promotes her books and she says the most outrageous things that she can. She's sort of a verbal, instead of doing the holding the head up, she says things that are that outrageous. And the Republicans used to love it, but now they see that she's just using, just using Fox News or whatever for her type of thing. But what Kathy Griffin did is much worse. And I think sometimes you go too far, and that's it. I mean, she apologized. Of course, what she should have done was made her apology and then dropped out of, just stayed back. And she then, I think this is where she makes this statement.
Well, Kathy Griffin, yes, she's still in the news, still making headlines. She's freaking out now after she saw something in the crowd that she doesn't want anybody.
So she's had this, I think this is a press conference or whatever, and she's saying that, Donald Trump and Donald Trump's family and Donald Trump's that they're out to destroy her, they're out to smash her, and that's the wrong thing for her to do. She should have made her apology and just dropped into the background and hope that people, of course the Republicans or the right wing, would never ever forget. They would bring this up forever, and not just against her, but they're used against liberal Democrats or whatever. But what she should have just done is, and this is the worst, she just made the situation worse for her by coming out and saying, the President of the United States, most powerful man in the world, and he's turning all that power trying to destroy little old me, and mistake. I think that of course, CNN fired her from that New Year's Day thing. I didn't know she had a comedy thing that was moving around the United States from city to city or whatever, and those have been canceling on her, and but let's see, boom. Let me see if that's back to, thought it was on here because I looked at it today or yesterday. Like I said, you can look at this and get an idea what people watch or what their thing is by this. See a lot of camera videos here, don't you? This Panasonic FZ300, remember I purchased one of those and it lasted about 30 days and it broke. A good camera, but I'm kind of afraid to purchase it again. If I purchased it again, I would get the insurance for it for 3 years, 4 years. And that insurance supposedly covers anything, you know, that happens to it. You drop it or whatever. Of course, I didn't do anything to the camera. I just used it. Of course, I got it from Amazon, and I had to send it back to them, but they didn't cost me anything to send it back, and they sent my money to me before they even got the broken camera back. This scares me. President Trump, this bloodshed must end, and Trump says he'll do whatever is necessary to prevent the threat from spreading to the U.S. This is pretty scary because of how dumb President Trump is and how little experience he has and how he has no people around him that are and this is scares me because of people like this. We've never had a president like him before, and I hope to God we never have another one like him, but that's the type of thing that Mussolini and Hitler and dictators, whatever, use to, where they have a hardcore of followers. They say, oh, these people over here are, they are a danger, so I have to suspend, protections. I have to build detention camps. I have to. It's just scary that if somebody else, I would hope that he said, I didn't see what he said. I would hope that he says, that he says he'll do whatever is necessary to prevent this from spreading to the U.S. I would hope that he would say, keeping in mind that our great history of freedom and our constitutional protections against self-incrimination and freedom of speech and whatever, I'm afraid somebody like him would be detention camps, like we had detention camps for the Japanese U.S. citizens during World War II. Abraham Lincoln suspending the writ of habeas corpus and other things because of the Civil War, and it just worries me that, and because President Trump has said that, the Constitution gets in his way and he can't do his job as president, and he's asking the court to reinstate his ban on people of the Muslim religion coming into the United States and all this type of stuff. Hitler used he had his units of his military attack other units of his military so that he could say that Czechoslovakia or Poland had done, I think they had him attack a radio. He had his troops attack. I think that was at a German radio station, and I forget if that was against. It was a staged event, just like we believe that he had the German Parliament building, that Hitler had it burned down by his, SS or stormtroopers or whoever, that they burned it down, and that was gave him the justification for, taking over total dictatorial powers. And so it just scares me that Donald Trump is President of the United States, because he's totally not qualified. And somebody, I wish I had that, I wish I had saved it. Somebody asked a question someplace. I think it was Quora, the thing that people ask. I wish I had saved that. Forget exactly what the question was, but it was like, when does freedom of speech become a problem and move over into the area of sedition and treason or whatever. And I wish I'd have saved that, and because that's people are looking at ways to okay, that's not at the top. Also the was it here? No, that's not it. Netflix. I'm watching on Netflix, I think it's on Netflix, Ways to Live Forever on my Roku TV set here behind me. I think I'm about halfway through it. Looks like an interesting movie. I need to do a review on this battery charger. I'm thinking about, I keep getting requests to review items for Amazon, and of course Amazon has put into effect a ban preventing somebody who is given something for free or at a discount, them doing a review. And I purchased this a while back, so that's not in that thing, but that reminds me that I keep getting, not as many as I used to. Used to be, I'd get 7, 8, 10 requests a night to review things, but so it's become kind of a pain in the rear, and I think I'm just going to sometime when I get time go and turn off my reviews that are on Amazon, or at least a way for the people to contact me, because occasionally now I'm buying stuff, somebody will contact me, and anyway, I do need to review this. I have a nice one like this. It's over there. I'd show it to you, but I got the cord tied down to the legs of the, but this one, because it does the 18650 lithium ion batteries, and I have a whole bunch of stuff that use those tactical flashlights and what have you. So that's one reason I got it, because it charges them up. But anyway, I need to do a review on that, and then I need to stop doing reviews. It takes a little bit of time to do them. Yeah, this thing, I don't know what, all of a sudden some of the Qatar or whatever, is it the Arab nations, or is it the Muslim nations, or is it, anyway, 4 or 5 of them have broken off diplomatic relations with that little tiny place. I don't know what's going to happen with that. The fired director of the FBI, Comey, is, I guess, supposed to testify. Today is Sunday. He's supposed to testify Thursday. There's some talk and thought that since he is going to testify about conversations that he had with the President of the United States, that the President may invoke executive privilege and say that those conversations are private and that he cannot testify about that before Congress. And even hardcore right-wing, of course, Trump has his hardcore of people. I don't want to say negative things about those people, but he doesn't have, the establishment, the religious, or the political people. They're appalled. Republicans are appalled at his twittering and the statements that he makes and the things that he does, and they're saying, oh, please do not, well, one, they're saying, please don't use your Twitter account. Please close down your Twitter account. But the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, loves Twitter, and he's 60 million followers or whatever he has, 30 million, I don't know, whatever it is. That's what he just, that's what gives him an erection. I mean, it's just, and the establishment, the Republican, I mean, comedians, and probably the Democrats in a way, are, oh, Twitter, please, oh, please, Twitter. But the right wing, it's like, please don't Twitter, please shut that down. But Donald Trump can't. But now what they're afraid of is that he's going to invoke the executive privilege, and they're saying that would be a bigger disaster for him and for the Republicans than his firing of the FBI director. That was a mistake, they're saying, and they're saying, please don't invoke it. But with President Trump, you don't know what he's going to do. I could do without the drama. Can't think of the name of this TV show. I had HBO or whichever one this is. Oh, Game of Thrones. I really enjoyed that, but I haven't seen the last couple seasons of it or whatever, because I don't have. Oh, I can't believe this. Of course, this is just a headline. It says Fox News is disavowing internment talk for internment camps. Oh, this is Ted Nugent condemns Kathy Griffin. And I'm sure you all remember that when President Obama was running for his second term, Ted Nugent was at the NRA convention or whatever, and hooked up at a show there, being interviewed and talking. And my God, he said that that President Obama had to be stopped. That he just said unbelievable things, which got him, I guess, visited by the Secret Service, came to have a little talk with him. He said that if President Obama was elected, that would mean that either Ted Nugent was in prison, or that that Ted Nugent was dead. He was threatening the President of the United States and saying, either they would have to kill him, or he would be imprisoned or something. So, and here he condemns. That's the problem with the Republicans and the right wing, is that they take something and attack President Clinton with it, President Obama with it. They use all these things, and then they do the same things except worse, more grievous. They do it much worse, and then it's perfectly fine. That's one of the things that upsets me a lot, is if they were just even-handed. Okay, well, you're a Republican and you don't think that Americans should have health care unless they have money. Whatever their thing is, that's fine. That's your point of view. But then to go the other, the inconsistency, that's what kind of, Back to Kathy Griffin, I do think that there are times when something is done, something is said, that there should be really repercussions. Not somebody we should never threaten somebody. I don't care what somebody does. I'm sure that she's getting death threats and all types of stuff. We've seen other things from the, people attacking people on the left, people attacking people on the right, doing all types of things. No, we should never threaten somebody with violence. We should never use violence against somebody. We should never, do that, no matter what they do. But I think she should suffer the consequences of, what she did. That should be, I'm sorry. I mean, somebody said that she had $10 million and that she'd be all right. That $10 million isn't anything. I'm sure, what kind of house does she live in? And I'm sure it's not paid for. How many cars does she have? How many retainers or people does she have? I was watching a couple comedy specials, and they showed, it was on different nights or whatever, but they showed the staff that, you see a comedian up there doing his act, moving from city to city, and a bunch of them have staff that they have to pay for. They pay for transportation. Some of them have, lighting or all types of stuff. And so I'm sure that this is going to be, we'll be hearing on TMZ. If anything ever happens with a celebrity or whatever, just go to TMZ.com. I'm sure we'll be hearing that Kathy Griffin has had to declare bankruptcy and all types of stuff. One thing, I've mentioned this before, I really think it's inappropriate for the news media to have access to like 911 calls. Unless there is something, that needs to be public. If there needs to be some, if somebody says they called, 911 and the 911 operator hung up on them, or the 911 operator says, N people are always calling this, 911, and go back to your watermelon, or something, that needs to be the news media, and then people need to know that. But when somebody dies, somebody does an overdose, some celebrity or a politician or whatever, that shouldn't be released. Or if it's just something with somebody screaming, somebody help me on the phone, and they want the news media, that should not be public information. I don't know who most of these people are. I have no idea who these people are. But TMZ, they always put the stuff on there. A lot of it shouldn't be on there, I don't think. Back to YouTube. I'm finding more and more stuff that, because I hate looking up manuals or having to, but I've gone here, this guy, Jeff Dunham, I'm sure you know, he is a fantastic ventriloquist and writer of his material, and the way he does everything, and the way he uses these video clips here to, go to another video clip, and you can see he has, here's 6 million from 2 years ago, 6 million views from 2 years ago. And these are little clips, over 2 million views, 4 million views, and so. Also, we're seeing more, of course it'll be dark now, more of these live streaming videos, and I find those interesting sometimes, just to watch, just not this at night, but to watch Let's see, is this a camera from the... Well, that's not one of the streaming cameras, but I find it very interesting to watch that. And I used to do that. I was one of the first people to do, before YouTube, before any of these things. I was before the World Wide Web. I was streaming video. I was streaming video when it had to be streamed, when all the resources were coming from my computer. And if I got too many viewers, it slowed my computer down so much that I couldn't stream. Last week or so, I've been changing on my Facebook page. I've been changing this. This is photo of me. I was really skinny, wasn't I? From 1972 at St. Joseph Hospital, Kansas City, Missouri. At that time, that hospital was in downtown Kansas City, Missouri, in the worst part of that's the first hospital that I worked at. And that's right, I was working there right when the song came out, you know, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy, or something like that, was out. And the local neighborhood, that hospital was located, you know, on this block, and people from the neighborhood would walk down a sidewalk and they could just turn right into the hospital and they'd be right there, and then they could walk through the hospital and come out on the other street, and they would come in and they'd see me there at the emergency room or something. And some of them, I shot the sheriff, I didn't shoot the deputy. They also called me Barney Fife, and unfortunately I looked like Barney Fife, skinny like that. I loved that revolver that I had there. By the way, this I think was marijuana, if I remember correctly. Our guard shack we had a guard shack right up here. You can see the bottom of it. You know, in the sliding window you could slide open. And I think some security officers might have been up there, and some seeds may have fallen down here, and I think we had marijuana growing there. But anyway, this revolver was that was another thing too. The neighborhood people would come through, young people would come through, and they'd say, "Man, look at that gun on him, that's a massive gun," or whatever. And it was a 38, but it was on a 44 frame. And I wish I'd have kept that gun. I sold it to another security officer who wanted it, and I think needed it for a job or something, or anyway, I sold it. I wish I hadn't. I wish I still had it. That was a nice gun. So I've been changing these. I took another one of these tests online where they just show you one picture, and then you have to see if you can pick the movie that it was from. Of course, they give you multiple. I keep forgetting which camera is on. They give you like 5 multiple choice, and I missed 9 of them. I think, was it? Was it 9? Anyway, I was surprised that oh, this is what I was thinking a while ago. This is from America's Got Talent. I never watch it, but occasionally something like this. And I saw this the other day and posted it to my... Let me just play a little bit of it for you.
How are you?
I'm great.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
What's your name?
My name's Darcy Lynn.
Okay, and Darcy, who's that?
My name's Petunia.
Which ones?
Is it a bunny? Yes.
Is that a real bunny? We're going to find out. Okay. And Darcy, why did you both decide to enter the show?
Well, it was one of my big dreams. But also, I would really like to keep ventriloquism alive because it's not common, you know? So.
Well, listen, Darcy, best of luck. I really hope you both do
Thank you
well.
so much.
Good luck.
Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Hit it. What, you're gonna sing? Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Anyway, really, wow. I've never, there's not very many ventriloquists, at least, and she's 12 years old, and she really looks like she was doing an excellent job of it, and putting on, everything, but I don't like America's Got Talent. I don't like the things, the way they stage things, and the way they have, what's his, Simon Cowell or whatever. He doesn't shave, wears a white t-shirt, he's supposed to be, it's just all this. And then if you watch this video, I'll put the link below to it if I can find it. Like you saw those two guys in the front row, you see them repeatedly. I'm sure they're on the staff. They find somebody they have somebody who has facial expressions that in the beginning, of course, they look like, oh, this person isn't going to be able to do this. This is going to be, and then of course of course the people there know what's gonna happen, who's coming out. They act like, oh, who are you? It's all been planned, and so I don't like it, but I do like a performance like this when they really get somebody that's really good, and when they do the stuff, get their stuff together. But I hate reality TV. Anyway, I've been changing my Facebook header. If this picture of me here looks good, it's because I took it with my camera with the beautification thing that takes out some of the, or did I take a picture and then run Photoshop or something? I can't remember, but if I look a little better, that's because it's a doctored photograph. Oh, here is, I've been scanning some old pictures. This is me, as you can see, also skinny, 1955, and this is the year I graduated from grade school, St. Vincent's, in Kansas City, Missouri, and the grotto that was there outside. St. Vincent's Church was then years later taken over by the, God, I don't even know what you call them. They had the French bishop or whatever who objected to the Second Vatican Council, and the Catholic Church sort of doing away with the Latin masses and the other few changes that were made. And so he eventually got excommunicated, and his followers, they took over this Catholic Church, and of course I consider them to be Catholic also. I mean, they got kicked out for they were following the old Catholic tradition of saying masses being said in Latin, and then things like the priest facing the altar instead of the priest facing, the new way, facing out towards the congregation, things like that. And they got excommunicated, but they're still, they're still Catholic. But anyway, they took over that church. My father's brothers and sisters, and he had like 7 of them, I think. Anyway, they all went to, they were in the St. Vincent's Parish. They all went to that school. My mother and father were married at that church. I was baptized at that church. I went to a different school until the 5th grade, and then I went to this school, St. Vincent's, and graduated. When I was going there, the pastor was Father Oscar Huber, who I'm sure you don't remember the name, but he is the priest who then left at some point. St. Vincent's was down in Dallas, and he's the priest who, when John F. Kennedy was shot, came out. The news media, everybody in the world was waiting and wanting to know, was the president alive? How bad was he hurt? And he came out, and the news media asked him, and he said, "Oh, I just gave the last rites to, John F. Kennedy, and he passed away." My father and Father Huber, when they were boys, they went, of course, to St. Vincent's. My father and Huber were played together, went to Boy Scouts and all that type of stuff, and they both went to the seminary. And Huber went on to become a Catholic priest. My father ran away from the seminary and went back home and said he did not want to be a priest. But so I had that as my header there for a little while. Here's a picture of me. That would have been probably in California. I scanned that. I got some more to scan. I'm going to scan them and put them on Facebook, and then going to box them up and send them to my daughter. And there she is, Kathy Griffin. Beheaded Trump photo attracts Secret Service. I guess they might have gone and had a little talk with her. So, I've got to accomplish something here. I haven't taken my medicine yet tonight. Haven't taken the night medication. I got to do that. And then I have to go and take my ex-wife's wheelchair, which is ripping apart, and move it and replace it with an old one that was falling apart, but it is in better shape than the one she has. There's so many problems with our healthcare system, and with we need single payer health insurance the way the rest of the world does. She gets wheelchairs that are flimsy and very cheaply made, not made with the quality that they should, so they don't last very long. And just what she needs is a Cadillac of a wheelchair, not an electric wheelchair. She doesn't want her. She probably needs an electric, but she doesn't want that. She just wants a wheelchair that doesn't fall apart. And So anyway, let me do some stuff that I've got to do, and talk to y'all later.